Satang Prasanga.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. I pray that all of you are well, and how are you doing? Hopefully this coronavirus epidemic is easing off in the area that you are in, and you are able to manage the situation. So today is the start of a brand new series. There's so many devotees doing so many wonderful outreach programs online, and they're all wonderful and inspiring. So I thought we'll do something a little different. So we decided to analyze a letter a day, go through Srila Prabhupada's letters, which many of us, I think, haven't really honestly read. We hear of them whenever they're being quoted and things like that, but we haven't really taken the time to read them. I'm remembering in Vrindavan, we have a very beautiful setup there, where in Prabhupada's house, every day a brand new letter is put on Prabhupada's table. So whoever comes by, and it's set to the date of that day. The year will definitely change, but the date is the same. And it's very inspiring because you really start growing and developing that connection to Srila Prabhupada. And that's the aim of the series, so that we can feel Srila Prabhupada as our grandfather, as our Param Guru. Param Guru, Bhaktisiddhanta is our Parat Param Guru. In puja we learn this when we're doing puja, at the Parampara line. So I hope you're as excited as I am, because Srila Prabhupada's letters are very powerful. It's him himself. We even have copies of the originals, which we will show before we read the letter. So imagine receiving one of those. The very earlier letters were typed by himself, hand typed. It's just amazing, because in it we see the heart of Srila Prabhupada. He's starting up a new movement. There's the philosophy, there's the concerns, there's the instructions, there's the chastisements. Oh yes. So, and then there's the personal. To receive a letter from Srila Prabhupada, it's such a personal thing, it's such a deep thing that you cherish it forever. It's like edged into immortality. You know, when Prabhupada's letters are, you can read it again and again, and it will have deeper and deeper meaning, and that's what I'm hoping we can bring out today. So we're still on the mood of encouragement. I think we all need that. So I've started to read through Srila Prabhupada's letters, and I've selected a few. Every day I'll select one that gives us a deeper encouragement, more hope, more confidence in the process that we are practicing, more confidence in Srila Prabhupada's words, and more appreciation for who he is as a person, and let's get to know him deeper and better. So as we start today's one, it's a letter to Gurudas on the 13th of February 1968. And you can see here the original letter on the left with Prabhupada's legendary signature. It's very powerful to have received one of those. So let's read through the letter together. It starts off right on the top by saying, Tri Dandi Goswami, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Acharya, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Now just that alone we can do a whole class on that. the Tridandi Goswami title is only given to Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Yesterday I was hearing a class by Srila Prabhupada, and he was, as usual, attacking the Mayavadis. So he was saying, they say Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. But what is that Satya? He says, what is that Satya that they say? Brahman is Satya and Jagat is Mithya. It's illusionary. So what is the Satya? They don't know because they're not reading Bhagavatam. Param Satyam Dhimahi. In Bhagavatam first verse, it says this Krishna is Para Satyam. And then he differentiated that if Brahman, everything is one, then why do we have Atma and Paramatma? There's two there. Why do we have Brahman and Para-Brahman? Why do we have Ishvara and Parameshwar? Those are titles that are given. Now there's two. There's definitely a difference between Atma and Paramatma. Why create if Brahman is all one, then why create the difference? So Prabhupada was saying, he was asking, rhetorically in the class that if Brahman cannot be understood, like they say, oh, he has no form, he has no features, he has no qualities, nirguna, and if he's formless and he cannot be understood, then what are you trying to explain? That was just one of those classic boxing knockout punches by Srila Prabhupada. What are you trying to explain? You can't, you don't know what you're talking about. It's not understandable, this, that. Then what are you doing? What's your philosophy? So if there's a philosophy, it means it was explained. But now there's nothing. It's really confusing. So immediately they discriminate. Tridandi Goswami. This is the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sannyasi. That's his title. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. A few weeks, I think last week or week before back, Devi Shakti Bhattaji was doing this class on the inauguration of ISKCON. And we'll see, this letter is 1968, so 2 years after. So the mood at that time, they appreciated Srila Prabhupada, but they didn't understand the details of how to relate. So they were not including that title or Prabhupada's name in things, in advertising, in books. And then Prabhupada says, no, you have to include this Acharya of the International Society, because he could see that later on this was going to cause problems when other societies and even God brothers would come forward to, challenge this mood. And then he says, Prabhupada writes, a camp, ISKCON Radha Krishna Temple, 5364W, Pico Boulevard, Los Angeles, Calcutta, not Calcutta, sorry. CAL, I'm so used to here in India, it's not Calcutta, it's California, okay? 90019, dated February 13th, 1968. So this is 1962 years after Prabhupada inaugurated ISKCON. There's already initiated disciples. Gurudas, remember Gurudas is the husband of Yamuna and Gurudas. So he says here, my dear Gurudas, please accept my blessings. So you can see how the spiritual master writes to the disciple. So immediately, first thing Guru does, he gives blessings. Please accept my blessings. I am in due receipt of your letter dated February 8th. So this letter is February 13th. So it's about 5 days before. So within 5 days, Prabhupada had already replied to this letter. Remember, there's no internet, there's no email, and letters had to be hand-typed. So what a quick response Prabhupada is giving. And have noted the contents. I have received also one letter from Upendra today, and I am so glad he is released within 10 days. That was my expectation when he came to see me, that he couldn't be incarcerated for more than 3 weeks. So Upendra Prabhu was incarcerated for something that happened. I don't know the details on that. But Prabhupada was confident that it won't be as long as they're saying there. And his confidence is not based on the litigation of the legal system. His confidence is based on Krishna. Why? Because Upendra Prabhu is a devotee. So let's see this. For more than a week, this instance of suffering by a devotee should be carefully noted. There's some very jewels here. There's some nectar here. How do we understand the suffering of a devotee when he goes through a predicament? So let's hear Prabhupada. As Upendra was in the beginning incarcerated for 3 months, it was reduced to 1 week. Similarly, when a devotee is seen in trouble, it should be accepted as God's mercy. When something is happening to you and you're a devotee, then Prabhupada is saying here, you should see this as God's mercy. I think we did 50 episodes of that. But still, it's nice to hear it and gain the confidence and the faith on Prabhupada's words here. So he justifies it by saying, just like Upendra's suffering for 3 months was destined by the law, by the mercy of God, the suffering is reduced to 1 week only. So a devotee always accepts his distress as minimized by God's mercy. So you can see, where is Prabhupada quoting this from? Where is Prabhupada relaying this philosophy from? It's coming from Tatenukam from verse, 10th canto, 14th chapter, Brahma's prayers. Tatenukampam shushumikshamanu bhunja nevatma kritam vipakam vidvagvapubi ritatam namaste jive mukti pada sadhaya bhak. So this prayer is what Prabhupada is quoting here. That let even whatever the distresses that comes one's way, one patiently endures it. And by doing that, the result will be that the kingdom of God will become your inheritance. So let's see Prabhupada saying here. Just as Upendra's suffering for 3 months was destined by the law, but by the mercy of God, the suffering is reduced to 1 week only. So a devotee always accepts his distress as minimized by God's mercy, although he would have to suffer many more times the suffering. Anyone who accepts this philosophy of God's mercy in suffering conditions and still makes progress in Krishna consciousness, it is said that he is sure to go back home, back to Godhead. So we see that if the devotee is patiently enduring the difficulty, Prabhupada is guaranteeing here, he's saying they will go back to Godhead. So what level of patience is required? We see here Upendra Prabhu, just because he was a devotee, Prabhupada is saying the law is one thing, the letter of the law is one thing. But because he's a devotee, he's also under the universal cosmic law, the divine law of the Lord. So in that way, from 3 months it was brought down to 1 week. So that intervention, Prabhupada glorified it as coming from Krishna. So it's a very wonderful, inspiring letter we wouldn't have time, although I would love to go through the whole thing so that we can benefit from it. But Prabhupada discusses other points about Gurudas and Yamuna going to preach with Achyutananda Swami at that time, and also some challenges in the Brahmachari ashram, the American house, and the Grihastha ashram. So Prabhupada is reconciling that. And of course, he ends with these classical ending, your ever well wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So if you're inspired by the letter, you can go ahead and find it on the web and read it again. But due to time, we will just extract the essential parts of the letter and try to go over that for inspiration for the day. So thank you very much. I hope you will join us again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.